Who you asked? For me, it's Kelce. So
It's the real Kelce, brother. Jason Kelce's in the house. Ladies and gentlemen, we don't want Travis around here anymore. This is the real big dog.
I wish that was the case.
The adult-sized man. And he flew in. He came straight here. So thank you so much. Cheers to you. Let's have a little cheers. He has coffee, water, and whiskey. Cheers, my big dog.
A lot of liquids.
Feels so good.
My goodness.
And I went to the gym this morning, so this feels like I deserve this. Like it's a reward.
What'd you do?
I just went there. I went and looked around for an hour and a half, and then I took off. I don't ever do anything. I just go make sure it's still there. I go, still a gym, and I got to go.
Yeah.
Is your workout regimen the same now that you're retired?
So far, it's kind of been the same. So I was doing, for most of the offseason, I've been doing similar to what the team's been doing.
Yeah.
And then I just reverted back. I shouted out my strength coach in my retirement speech from college, Paul Longo.
Yeah.
And he used to do this block 620, which is you do a weight that's pretty heavy that you struggle to get 6 times. And then you do a weight that's really light that you would struggle to get 20 times. And it's kind of like a strength and hypertrophy block.
Wow.
That we would go to every year after the season was over. We'd go to that. And I just feel like I always felt like after I do that, my body feels really good.
Yeah.
So I'm in that block right now.
Wow.
So I haven't fully transitioned into like full on non-athletic lifting. I'm still kind of doing that.
Yeah.
I think part of that's just like, that's what I know and I've always
Habit.
done. Yeah.
It's got to be.
I haven't done a lot of running on the field, which is new.
Were you a big cardio guy when you were playing or no?
I hate cardio.
Yeah, me too. Yeah, it's the worst thing in the world.
I would much rather, I've always been good in like, all out or like walking. Like that's my, those are my speeds. I
Like in a marathon,
pace
you're
myself.
sprinting?
Yes, exactly.
Yeah, sprint or walk.
Yeah. So I do hit interval training pretty good.
I love that.
Yeah. Like
I think that's
Tabata, like
fun.
20 on, 10 off. That's my jam. But like, if you're going to ask me to like coast for like 20 minutes, I'm going to,
Nah, I don't feel like it.
it's not even fun. So.
I ran for years, and then when I had a back injury, I stopped running, and I miss certain things about it, but the monotony sometimes of my brain was like, you have to run because you run a lot, so you should just keep doing it. And then I just got kind of sick of it was a little bit mundane. It was kind of the same nonsense. And I hate treadmill. Treadmills are like, blow those things up. I hate those things.
I'll do like walks on treadmills, but I don't want to run on them.
No, I don't want to just run.
It's
no.
not fun.
See, out here, this is hike country. Everyone likes to hike out here.
Yeah.
I like it. But then I'm that douchebag who like runs the hill and everyone's like, this guy. But I like it because I just don't want to walk it.
Everybody.
Yeah, I'm trying to show off a little bit. No, I'm always, every time I go on a hike, I'm like, I get the little kid anxiety where I'm like, can I just run? I don't feel like walking up slowly. I want to go.
Yeah.
It feels like my body's like, you got to just get up to the top already.
Listen, running hills is like
great.
tremendous for you. It's like
It's
one
great.
of the best exercises you can do.
But you look like that
if
guy.
everybody else is walking, it's
Yeah, you're a dickhead.
yeah, a little bit.
Also, whenever I see someone running downhill, you see these people running on a downhill.
That's I've never.
You know
done
the word
that.
for that.
Yeah.
Stupid is the word. Yeah, stupid as shit. Whenever I see someone running downhill, I'm like, dude, not good for your knees or your back. Don't do that. Run up.
Good chance you're gonna fall.
Walk down. Yeah, 100%. I want to say, retirement speech, fantastic. I knew you were going to retire. I had no inside information, but I felt it in my bones, something in me. And now I think the second half of your life, how exciting. This new stage of like you in the media. And I don't know what's next to come. You don't have to give me any leaks, but
Yeah.
I mean, I'm excited for you to see what's the next chunk. Because a lot of guys, look, I'm friends with a fair amount of guys who used to play different sports. And it's interesting to watch what some guys get into professionally if they stay in the sports world and they go into coaching or training. And then some guys that go way in the other direction.
Right.
Like I have a couple of friends I know sell real estate.
Yeah, just completely get out of football.
They go way away
Nothing
from
to do with
sports.
it.
Yeah. Do you already have a goal in mind, or are you kind of going where the wind takes you?
I have short-term goals. Like obviously, I just signed on with ESPN for Monday Night Football.
Huge, I know. Huge.
So my short-term goal is really make sure I'm prepared and do that at a high level.
Yeah.
I've talked to a lot of guys. I mean, a lot of this is talking to people that do it, right? I do the podcast, but this is much different, right? You're live and the time segments that you have to be in and out of are tighter. So there's less freeness or there's less freedom to say and like really go into like nuanced detail on something like that. So
now, are you afraid if you do that if you're like talking a little bit too much shit?
for sure?
Yeah.
Yeah. Or talking too much shit or talking too much.
Talking too much. I mean, like if you're just going into a diatribe and because on the podcast, we can say whatever we want, do whatever we want. There is no length of cutoff time.
Well, that's the beauty of the podcast. You can go into really like big detail on like complex things and go and give a good synopsis on the entire picture.
Yeah.
In the pre-shows and stuff like that, because you're handcuffed with the time constraints and, everybody needs to be able to get in things. So you want to be respectful of all of it. So you're trying to get in and out of things a little bit quicker. I do think the best shows feel like they're more conversational.
Totally.
And it expands a little bit into that, but it's still, it's going to be a little bit more condensed than what a podcast would be.
Well, like what they did on, Charles,
TNT?
Shaq, and Kenny, and it's just like
it's the best.
But what's going to happen with that now? The future of that is in limbo, and it's so weird. But that is what's so annoying to me is that's what people like.
Yeah.
They like that these guys are friends. They like that they have a relationship. They like that they goof with each other. What people kind of don't take to is when it feels extremely so professional that these two things have nothing to do with each other.
Yeah, it feels so overproduced that it's like pre-planned, and
it's weird.
Yeah, you want those authentic reactions happening out there. You want, and that's why listen, Chuck is the magic as well as Shaq.
Unbelievable.
But Ernie is like the guy that like really kind of lets them do what they do, and brings it all kind of a structure to it. And I think obviously Scott Van Pelt on Monday night, I think he has that same ability to kind of bring that structure, and hopefully we can kind of be able to be ourselves, and Scott kind of wrangle it back in a little bit as well.
Yeah. Bring you down to earth.
Yeah.
You're not scared though. You're not nervous.
No, I'm nervous.
You are?
And I think that's good. No, seriously. I think
you should be a little nervous.
Every game I ever played in my life that I played really well, I was nervous for at least a healthy amount of it. Like not like to the point that you think that you can't do it.
Yeah.
But there's like a healthy amount of respect for what's your opponent, the guy that like whenever I played a really good player, I always felt like I played better because all week I like was really into preparing for this guy.
Yeah.
I studied it more. I was more like I perseverated about it when I was sleeping. Like I'm like, man, if I do this, I need to make sure I do this. Otherwise he's going to take care of that. And like when you put more effort into it because of that nervousness, I think it usually results in a better product. Now, once you're out there, you can't be nervous. You just got to go. But I think it's healthy to be nervous with where I'm at right now. Hopefully then I prepare more, and usually the more prepared you are, the less nervous you are when you're actually out there.
Totally. You need to have a hand signal. You know how Carol Burnett like tickled her ear to say hi to her family?
Yeah.
We need to have a hand signal for you on Monday Night Football when we know you're in your groove.
Oh, there we go.
Yeah. Or when we know like you've cascaded over the nerves when you're just killing it. Yeah, we got to have something that's like you can think about it. Something that coins for you that's very just much. Just a little. And then someone's just like, we got to drug test him. We have to see what he's up to. He's flicked his nose like 6 times on the show. He keeps rubbing his gums. What is he doing? No, but I'm excited for that too for you because I think it's a big deal that a lot of athletes now have become the new faces of sports talk, whether it's podcasting or live broadcasting.
Yeah,
and it's what. In my personal dumb opinion, it's what we've always wanted. You're like, I'd rather hear it from the guy that did it.
Yeah.
I don't want to hear it from, no offense, but like sometimes there's guys that talk and you're like, well, you didn't do it.
Yeah, you didn't do it.
You don't know what that is. It's like, that bothers me sometimes. Not all the time, but sometimes you want to just hear what the guy who did it did.
Yeah, I mean, listen, I vastly prefer listening to like coaches and players, but
Totally.
I will say, I do think some people that are really good that didn't play offer a perspective that sometimes players and coaches don't have because we did play. Like, it's always interesting, like when the fans have perspectives or like sports media has perspectives that end up, being kind of more true than what like the players or coaches think because they're looking at it from a lens that's removed from, personal,
that attachment.
Yeah, the attachment to either the team or certain players or friendships or, just the attachment to how everything's happened, right?
Yeah.
When you're detached from that, you look at things from a little bit slightly different lens, and usually it's more wrong. The vast majority of the time, it's more incorrect. But sometimes it's a perspective that warrants you to say, like, oh, man, that's a good point that they're bringing up there. I didn't think about it that way, and it makes sense.
As a fan, we won't keep going into football. There's so many other things I want to talk to you about, but I do want to ask you, because people get asked, as comics, we get asked this all the time. You asked me on your show, least favorite city to go play to. What was the bummer every time you went to go play, when you were like, God, I don't want to go play over there?
Man.
See, we get asked that question, and we're always like, I don't know. There's a couple of cities, I guess.
Yeah, I mean, so the NFL, no matter where you play, is going to be packed, right?
Yeah.
In the places that aren't packed, you kind of love playing there because they're packed with Eagles fans because they travel well.
Yeah,
and
they
just
do.
buy up all the tickets. Like whenever we play in LA, it was almost every single
It's
game.
all green.
It's a home game.
Yeah, it was all green. So crazy to see that.
So I think I'd probably go just from like which stadiums just like I didn't like physically the most, which I hated MetLife. And we had a lot of success there. We won a lot of games.
That's great.
The field was absolutely atrocious for years. They just redid the turf. It's a little bit better, but it was really, really bad.
Because turf sucks.
Turf sucks, but in particular, they had like
Bad
not
turf?
only did they have turf, but they had bad turf.
That's so funny.
And
Even the turf is bad.
yeah, you would think this like beautiful like I mean that build it's not even that old.
No, it's relatively new, right?
Yeah, so I don't know how they messed that up that bad, but it was really bad. They just redid it. I think it's a little bit better. Then Green Bay has awful infrastructure, but it's like the coolest place in the
from like
world.
1612.
That's why
yeah.
it's the coolest thing ever.
Yeah.
Like you're walking down a hallway that you can't walk side by side with somebody because it's like so narrow. When they
Right.
designed it, it's like you're walking out single file, and
That's cool.
it's
You
know,
can't walk side
yeah.
by side.
That's right.
I'm just fine.
You
Yeah.
can fit
Normal
in.
humans are just fine walking out of there.
I mean, Dallas, I never liked. Dallas just feels the least like you're at an NFL stadium.
Feels like Jerry Jones's house.
It feels like you're
yeah.
at this, like, it just feels the most different.
Right.
It's like this, you're more of like an entertainer rather than like a football player.
Totally. Did he ever come down? I feel like he's the kind of guy that would like come downstairs and say hi to you guys.
Jerry?
Yeah.
He never said hi to me. One
No.
time we got close a couple times.
He seems like he would like go to the opponent's locker room and be like, "You boys all right?" Like he's got that very like George Bush like.
Yeah.
Is everybody all right down here?
I can see
Is
that.
the AC okay?
That's
like
that Texas in him.
Yeah, he has that like. He's being cordial, but he's also being condescending. It's
Yes.
like, yeah, you
Yeah.
like your facility? Huh?
Yeah.
Yeah, could have made it better, but you know.
Yeah, we decided not to.
Yeah, we decided not. We decided against it.
I will say probably the best visiting locker room.
Really?
It's enormous space. Like it's a good visiting locker room.
What about Buffalo?
Now we got our asses kicked there a lot. Unfortunately, we won early when they built that stadium, but then recently Dallas has definitely had the upper hand at home.
Somebody told me, I can't say the player's name, I could say it to you off air. Or actually, here, just blank this out. Yeah, he was, it's so funny, I covered my mouth and you said it right in the
Sorry,
mic.
well,
That's
we'll
no, he's going to blank
yeah.
it out. No, but he said to me about going up there to Buffalo, he was like, I was like, how is that? How's Buffalo? I've been to Buffalo one time in my life.
Yeah.
And he goes, facilities are better than you'd ever imagine. I was like, really? He's like, yeah, the training facilities, the work, like, he's like, all that stuff. And I said, wow, that's right. I was like, that's interesting. And he's like, well, to keep a guy there, you got to give him something to be like, yeah, this is nice, right? The food is good, you know, we'll fly in whatever you want. But I thought that was like, because we get that same thing. You know, you asked me on the show and it's a tough question of where I don't like to play because it's not the people, it's never the fans in the city. Sometimes it's just like the way that the place is laid out and the way to get to the venue because then the venue doesn't yield good traffic in terms of like people coming and wanting to go to it.
Yeah.
If it's in a part of a city where people are like, I'm not fucking going over there.
Yeah, that does actually feel the worst when you're not in a city.
Yeah.
I think when you're in the city and like I know Chicago right now is talking about taking the new stadium outside of the city.
We'll
right?
see if that happens.
I
but
hope
yeah.
it doesn't.
Yeah,
And
I don't think it's going to.
I don't like when it gets outside of the city. It just feels like you're detached from everything.
Well, and the other hard part with Chicago especially is such an iconic, like on the lake, by the park. It just kind of like does something for the city. It's the same thing with why Wrigley is in the middle of the city.
Yeah.
And I think when you do remove that, I get some of the reasoning for it for them.
Of course.
But also, I don't know, man. There's something. Yeah, you're gonna get it's traffic. You're gonna get stuck. It's gonna be a nightmare.
It's part of it.
Whatever.
Yeah.
Like I've told this story, but one time I remember when I was touring with Rogan years ago, and we were doing arenas, and we went to play Chicago. We played the United Center in Chicago, and I remember feeling like it was just powerful because it's home for me.
Yeah.
And we're sitting on the highway, and it's crazy traffic, right? And it's also rush hour, and Joe's getting a little antsy. And I could tell, like, he's kind of like talking to the driver. He's like, hey, man, can we not get off and, like go around? And then, and the guy's like, sir, blah, 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 blah. And then we're sitting there. We're kind of quiet. We don't say anything. And then finally Joe goes, man, is this just rush hour? Like, what is going on? And the driver turns and looks back at him and goes, they're going to see you, sir. And I was like, right.
Perfect.
Right. I mean, and it was he wasn't being rude. He was like, sir, this is
your
you.
fault.
Yeah, you did this.
You're the reason we're here.
I think, because I used to think about that all the time whenever, you'd see, because a lot of kids will wait by, why can't I think of the name now? Crypto, downtown, Staples Center. Sure. They wait where they know the players come out of, Like, would you guys have kids waiting to, like, see you guys to come out and all that?
There really wasn't a spot like that in the Eagles Stadium. There was a couple hot spots, but it really wasn't that big.
Because there, downtown, if you've ever gone after a Laker game, it is kind of cool to watch. People line up to see them come out in their cars, and a lot of guys will run on their window and do the whole thing. And I remember feeling how that was, like, such a cool thing. But
absolutely.
But as a kid in Chicago, they wouldn't let you anywhere near it, especially in the Jordan era. You couldn't even go.
Yeah, nowhere.
There was like a fence with a fence and a fence.
Yeah.
And you could maybe kind of see some of the cars coming. But I see it in LA and I think, I know Los Angeles, and that is very deliberate, that they're like, make it so they can see them come out of the thing. Make it so they can take pictures. Right. It's very interesting how that works.
The old, Progressive Field now, I think it is, but when it was the Jacobs Field growing up, Travis and I, my dad, we would go wait. There's that little fence. That's right where all the players parked. And you'd have a ball, and you'd beg for autographs afterwards, and like maybe one guy would come over and be the biggest thing.
It's huge
on the planet. Yeah, no way. Omar Vizquel came over here and was signing balls.
Yeah,
even if he didn't get to your ball,
didn't matter.
Like, he just came over here.
You signed that kid's ball.
Yeah, he was just right there.
That kid right there has one. What was like when you were a kid? Was there an athlete that you either got to meet or got near that was like one of those moments for you?
I mean, Omar, Kenny, like. The Indians of the 90s were the team in Cleveland. Like the Cavs were pretty good. The Browns left. So that was unfortunate. Yeah. But the 90s Indians were like the team for Cleveland, and anybody on that team. It was so star-studded. Kenny Lofton, Omar Vizquel, Manny Ramirez, Jim Thome.
Stacked.
Jim Thome is probably the iconic guy probably from that era.
Yeah.
For whatever reason, he just has been. Manny was certainly up there.
But Manny's career post that got even bigger.
It did.
Isn't that funny? It was like when he left, it was like, then he became this like other thing.
Persona.
Yeah, something
He was
bigger.
like his own thing.
Right.
Yeah.
Right. That was like for me, I met Frank Thomas as a kid, and that was like,
yes.
And I wasn't even a White Sox fan. I was a Northside kid. So, but meeting Frank Thomas was still, I mean, I remember it pretty vividly because they would play this golf tournament. Michael Jordan hosted a golf tournament.
Okay.
And the day before was the practice round, and that's when they would talk to kids.
Yeah.
So if you could get to the fence, they would chat with you. On the day of, there was so much media and stuff, they wouldn't let you anywhere near it.
Yeah, sure.
And this guy, I remember running up to the fence, and this guy, he goes, just some older dude, some older white dude, and he sees me kind of like looking. He's like, who are you looking for? I go, somebody famous. And he goes, you see that group behind us? I go, yeah, kind of far away. He's like, that's Frank Thomas. I was like, yeah, right. I was, you know what I mean? I was like, we can't even see who it is. But I'm like, no, it's not. He's not
no
there.
Way.
No chance. And he goes, let me tell you something, kid. One of you idiots better run home and go get a baseball card because that is Frank Thomas. So sure enough, my buddy Matt Mitchell and Matt and I were like, do you think he's full of shit, or do you think you know what I mean? We were like, should we just go get a card maybe just in case?
Yeah.
And he's like, all right, I'm going to go. I'll go. I'll run and get a card. He ran, got a card, and I waited. Because in the back of my head, I thought, that guy's a liar. He's fucking with us. We're kids.
There's no way.
Sure enough, dude.
He got it?
In comes Frank Thomas. He got it. Yeah, and forever.
Oh,
what an idiot. Been? I know, an idiot. He signed his. But Frank came up in a golf cart and was the whole golf cart.
Yeah,
he's by himself.
Still.
Yeah.
I went on set with him, and I was on set with him, Alex Rodriguez, Big Papi for like they were at the Phillies for one of the playoff games, and I was still amazed at how gigantic that man
unbelievable.
is. He's enormous.
Each of his legs was, like two human torsos, and he was half in the golf cart, half out, and he had that beautiful Frank Thomas smile that he's got like ear to ear, and he gave just a little wave, and then we didn't say a word, and then they hit. It was a par 3, and then he turned back at us, and it's so funny. Neither of us said anything. We were too nervous, but we kind of just were like, doing the maybe if he comes over.
Yeah.
And he just came kind of lumbering over, and he just just like motioned his hand. Like he already, he knew
what was going on.
Yeah, he was like, I'll do the thing. Because back then, when we were kids,
there was no pictures.
Yeah, you didn't take photos.
That's probably nice.
It is so funny that that's got to be a easier thing for athletes now because you take a billion photos.
Yeah.
And fine, great, but also, what would you rather? You want to sign 1 million autographs, or you want to sign, take 1 million photos?
I don't know. I think
because usually it's one of the two, right? They don't ask for both.
Yeah, usually it is one. I think I would rather do the autograph thing.
Yeah,
and I think maybe that's just because when I was a kid, that's like all I wanted. So
Me
like
too.
I just identify with that more.
Yeah,
I don't have a problem with the pictures. Like I think overall, whenever a kid comes up to you, for the most part, you're just like, every professional player for the most part was a kid at one point.
Yeah.
So it's like this ultimate moment where you realize you're like going to be interacting with a child, right? And like they look at you the same way I looked at Albert Bell potentially, he asked who my favorite player was. It was Albert Bell, which not a lot of non-Indians fans know Albert Bell, I don't think.
No, I do.
But Albert Bell, and then Travis was Carlos Baerga. But anyways, that is like the coolest thing ever. Yeah. So
Travis liked who?
Carlos Baerga. Do you remember him?
No.
I forget what
How
position
very
he
Travis
played.
to be such like a position
Well, he
player.
had a chain, and he had like the whole like he almost was like a dance getting ready to hit the ball.
Right.
He had a style to him.
His style, right. He was
if
all,
you saw
a lot
him
of
play,
flash.
you'd be like, that's why Travis liked it. This makes a ton of sense.
Right. Yeah. You liked it. Traditional, by the book, hardworking guys. Travis liked the guy that had the first guy with an earring on the team,
That's right.
Yeah, exactly. Causing all the trouble.
Yep.
The guy that I can hear my dad now being like, and why does he got to wear the jewelry? It's going to hit him in the face when he runs. That is so funny. That's how my dad was too with like, when we played sports.
Yeah.
My dad, he loved the book. For him, it was like, don't you wear it the way it's supposed to be worn. We were not allowed to. I couldn't wear anything with my own vibe.
Yeah,
Do you know what I mean?
Absolutely. Yeah.
I couldn't do it.
If you look outside the rest of the team, that's like selfish behavior.
My dad would be so mad.
So,
like guys would wear stirrups, and the whole deal was, if one guy wore stirrups, we all had to wear. That was like the whole thing, right?
Yeah.
And I remember my dad. There was like, some guys were trying to fight against it a little bit, and my dad was just like, you do whatever the coach says this week that you're supposed to be wearing. You don't try to be the guy who's standing out with the thing. You don't stand out. You blend in. It's very much, it's like army mentality.
Yeah.
Because he was an army kid. So it's like, it's very much like you get in line and you shut up.
Yeah.
And if the coach, like even in basketball, we weren't supposed to touch the backboard in layup drills.
Yeah.
And everybody wanted it. It was like such a thing because
Yeah.
we weren't allowed to dunk.
Yep.
So they were like, no touching the rim.
It was like, look, I could have if I wanted to. Yeah.
So guys would touch the backboard, and my dad would be like, if you touch the fucking backboard, I'll break your fingers. It was such a, I had that. Was your dad like that
I
to
was
you
about
guys?
to say, my dad's biggest one, I still remember watching games, was when guys would show, which is so funny now.
Yeah.
Because like guys either showboating before they scored, or even dancing in the end zone, it would drive him crazy. Like, just give the ball to the official. What are we doing? What's with the show? And now Travis is like and he's never said one word about it. And like, he is completely flip-flopped.
Right.
He's all about the showboating now.
Well, because times, I think at some
it's
point.
much different
It's
now.
just so different then. But yes, my dad with the dancing thing was like when Terrell Owens, it was like my dad was like, this guy, he wants his own thing. I actually heard a fun argument. I think it was on All the Smoke. I think they talked about this on that pod that those guys had said from that generation when the old joke was the no fun league, the NFL fun league, when they took away dances, he was like, we paid all these fines. And then now they reinstituted celebrations. He's like, all of that money that we paid should be calculated and then donated to charity.
Or
charity. And I was like, that's actually clever. Give it to a charity then. You owe that to somebody.
I could be wrong, but I do think, supposedly, I do think the fine money does go to charity.
It does it?
I'm like kind of sure on that.
You, dude, I have no
And
idea.
the only reason I think I know this,
I hope it does.
I'm pretty sure that money does go to charity. I don't know if all of it does, but I think that there is like a charitable component to the NFL fines.
You don't think Roger Goodell has like a Scrooge McDuck room at his house?
I'm not going to say he doesn't. I'm not going to say he doesn't. There was a
diving
weird
in
thing.
money.
There was a weird thing where during COVID,
Yeah.
they increased the fines on like very frivolous things, and it's like, are they trying to like even out the money here?
Right.
Like, what's happening?
What was the most ridiculous fine thing that
So like, you can't show your knee, right? But like your sock has to come up to your pant.
Sure.
Okay. If there's any space, technically that's a uniform violation. But like if there's like this much space, it's just normal that like, hey, my pants came up to my knee.
I'm playing a sport.
Yeah, my sock came down. So I got fined one time. And I'm talking to these. I'm like, what's going on, man? Like, I've been doing this with my pants forever. Like, why am I all of a sudden getting fined?
Right.
And they're like, they really want us to make a push to
What's
to
that
stop
fine
this.
cost?
I think, I forget. I don't want to say because I don't want to like
Yeah,
spread false.
misquote it.
Yeah,
Right, right.
It's, I ended up getting it reduced, but still had to pay the fine.
Gosh, that's so
which
funny.
was some thousands of dollars. But
It's such an innocuous number too.
yeah, I mean, it's just weird that like that has no bearing on like player health and safety.
How?
And it's obviously not on purpose.
Right.
So like, what are we doing this for? Just like, I don't understand the reasoning for it.
That's the opposite of like what the NBA was. Like when the NBA went with length of shorts, at first they were like, I remember when they were talking about the length of shorts changing.
Yeah.
When I was a kid, and it was like, that was a big conversation. Like the Allen Iverson era of like, they were huge.
Yeah.
And the NBA realized fast, they were like, these guys are going to do whatever. We're never going to be able to tell them what to, like, it's just never going to work.
Yeah.
They're just going to wear whatever they're going to wear. They'll just, because if you make them shorter, they'll just wear shorts that are 2 sizes too big.
Yeah. Or they'll wear them too short and then they'll just like have them halfway down.
Yeah,
like,
it's like, you can't
they
control
find
it.
a way away from the rules.
100%.
And this is where like, when early on in traveling in the NFL, they used to be very buttoned up. You have to wear suit and tie on every single plane.
Right.
And you can't wear jeans. You can't wear tennis shoes. And like now it's gotten to the point that like coach like, let's just let them wear tracksuits. Because like nobody abides by the rules.
Right.
Like people are coming in with like half of them got jeans on, half of the guys got which I love. Like I do not want to wear a 3-piece suit on a plane for no reason.
No.
I never understood the point of it.
Yeah.
But a lot of the teams have caved because they're like, this is just, what are we doing this for?
Well, my dad was in
It
sales.
serves no purpose.
Yeah, he used
It's
to wear
a business
suits
trip. It's like we're here for business. Like guys, I don't need to put a suit on to know that I'm here to win a football game.
Right.
Like,
I'm also going to the hotel to change anyway.
yeah, I'm going to wear this for 4 hours, be uncomfortable on a flight, and then change out of it.
Right. I never understood that. Looking uncomfortable on a plane, I was always like, that's the only time I want to be at max comfort is on a flight.
Exactly.
Max comfort should be max. Those seats on you guys' planes, because you took commercial, but it's commercial custom, right? Like it's your
So it's just a regular commercial plane, but they
make all the seats first class.
no.
What?
So we're in like regular seats, but like a whole row, especially for like a veteran player, I'd have like a whole row.
But they're regular seats.
Regular seats.
Some teams
Some
have
teams
their own.
have their
though.
own planes. The Eagles do not.
Philly should. Phillies
and
are
all
rich
the
enough.
coaches are up in first class, which pisses off some of the guys.
That would piss me off. They should be in the back.
That's one of the like they have that little report card, and they keep trying to get that as an A.
Yeah.
In any way they can. I'm like, guys, it's only going to be an A if you give everybody first class.
Right. Make everyone have.
I don't know what you want me to tell you. You guys are doing a great job. The food's fantastic. You're going out of this world for services.
Right.
But if the coaches are up in first class and the players and coach, they're going to be pissed off. I don't know what to tell you.
Yeah. So you don't get to lay out, or do you just lay down in the row
Just lay
sideways?
down. I mean, honestly, it's fine. It works, especially if you're not on like a long flight. Like West Coast flights, I do think first class, especially for bigger guys. Like Jordan Malott, 6'9". His knees, like it's just
That's
very
how
uncomfortable.
Yeah. He's got to sit in the aisle. You have to lay in the
and
aisle.
This year they did offer that, I think, on a West Coast trip. And a lot of guys didn't take it. I think Jordan was one of them. So I don't know. Maybe but with Chip, they gave us first class. Then they took it away with Doug. And it's still taken away with Nick.
Wow.
So that's like one of the hot topics. Yeah.
That's a big. That's
a
locker
big
room
deal.
chat.
Yeah.
Locker room chat.
And
Yeah.
I can't believe what the coaches ain't playing tomorrow. Why are they up in first class?
Yeah, it's true though.
Yeah.
Do you guys, was there text messages? Was there like a good text stream with players? Like, did you have a good text crew or no?
So there's different ones. So you have like your position group text crew,
Right.
And then even within that, you have like the starting 5 or whatever that all we're texting all the time.
Right.
Then there's like the leadership committee, which really gets started by the coach, right? And then that turns into like a whole text thread. Then
Does that causes break off texts? Right. There's a couple.
Then there's break
those
off
are my
texts
favorite.
Back to the position group or back to like, hey, we're all veterans, so like me, Fletch, and these guys are in the text group because we've been there the longest.
Right.
So yeah, there's.
And this group is talking shit about that group, and that group's talking shit about that group, and you're joking about that guy. Someone says something in one group that you go, this dude.
What's this guy
What's
talking
this
about?
guy's deal?
What's this?
Yeah, what do you want, more homework? Shut up.
Well, there's always the big thing that's like always talked about is like the schedule.
Yeah.
And it's like all the, older guys, we want to get in early because most of us live away from the city. We want to beat rush hour.
Right.
We're not like going out the night before. So like, just let's go in, get it done, and be done with it for the rest of the day. I go home, play with my kids.
Right.
That's what I want. But everybody else, like, hey, let's push it off to like 9 o'clock. So like, there's always this give and take of like what the older guys want, what the younger guys want, what the coaches want, and it's fun to watch that.
To watch it go back and forth.
Yeah. Who's gonna win out here? And usually I'm like, listen, whatever the fuck you guys want to do, I'll be here.
Yeah, you fold at some point. You're like, I don't give a shit.
I don't care that much.
Well, because you are. I mean, your family man persona precedes you because your wife is arguably more famous at this point.
Yeah,
she
should be.
Yeah. Well, I mean, yeah, for looks and talent and all that stuff, for definitely, without a doubt.
No doubt.
It is funny. She's become like this. Does she like it? Because it seems seems very like humble, like you, kind of a family person. It seems like she doesn't really want any of the nonsense, but she's cool with it. So is it annoying to her, or does she like some of the attention?
I think
because she's gotten a lot. People now are like, she's become just as big of a fixture of this.
I think it's both. I think we did the documentary a couple years ago, and that definitely. I think that she's a little bit uncomfortable with, I guess, how much it's become.
Yeah, it's big.
And our families out there, and like people know what our kids look like. And
I
think we're both a little bit like, we've tried to retract from that a little bit. But I think, she enjoys the fact that she, gets to go and do charitable outings. She gets to give back to the community. She gets to, do clinics with little girls with field hockey and like all these other things. I think she enjoys that aspect of it. And I do think some of the other stuff she's kind of a little bit more hesitant to. And like, I didn't really sign up for this. And I'm like, we're going to be all right. It's good. We're getting through it. Yeah, it gets to be too much at times. And it's hard to always be available. You know what I mean? But I think more often than not, it's such an awesome interaction whenever you're doing that stuff. And the vast majority of people are beyond just like, respectful and appreciative. And you realize that, we're in a position of great fortune to be able to, be where we're at. And it's all because of these people that are really, really big fans. So
yeah. That's the nature of all of it is like being as famous as you are. That it's tough because it comes along with it. But I don't think is deserved. And as I've always said, this is when someone's like, "Well, that's what they get for being famous," and you're like, "That's not what anybody gets. There is no that's what you get." That's a weird phrase.
It's part of the territory,
sure.
Right?
But it's not a that's what you get thing. I don't like that because it makes it feel like you deserve to be annoyed. It's like, no, that's crazy talk. That's like the same, in my mind, that's the same line of thinking when someone goes, well, she wore it out to the club.
Yeah.
She wasn't going to get harassed. It's like, yeah, she didn't want to be harassed. Like, because you're drunk and annoying, she got harassed. But most people are cool, right? Like most fans that we meet in our world are so cool. And so, it's totally fine. It doesn't bother me. But there are days like that where you just described, you're in a weird space maybe, and then someone catches you. Like a woman pointed at me and her finger was quite close to my face, and she was drunk, and we were walking to meet someone for lunch, and she was like, "You're famous." Yeah. And I didn't have any response, and I just go, "Yep," and I just kept walking. It just felt weird. It was a weird, and so then they're like, "What's his deal?
He's an asshole."
It's like, what?
Doesn't have the time.
How could I have done that? What else would you want me to do? So, but it is, I just see from afar, it's interesting now because your family is just such a fixture and a part of it.
It's been crazy. And then
and your brother's really screwed up everything.
Exactly.
Yeah, what a jerk.
Travis and Taylor have taken it to another level, and that's a whole nother side of it. You know what I mean? Like, Kylie and I think we have it bad, and then we go hang out with like one of them for a second.
That's insane.
It's like, this is a whole nother situation here.
Well,
I don't even know how to you can't be a normal person at that point. Like it's
in here. We pour whiskey.
Hey, this episode of Whiskey Ginger is brought to you by Squarespace. I've talked about Squarespace a lot on the show, and that's because I used it, I believe in it, I think you can use it too. Look, I'm a dum-dum. Told you that I said. I'm not a smart man, and I use Squarespace to design my site, to bring my dates and promotional stuff to all of my fans out there in the world, and that's why you can use it too. If you're designing a website from scratch, or if you're someone that already has all like the ideas in your mind of how you want it all laid out, they can help you get where you want to go by creating the perfect site, whether you're selling something, whether you're, I don't know, you're a personal trainer and you're trying to create scheduling on there. They have so many tools, the Blueprint, AI, and SEO tools. You can start a completely personalized website with the new guided design system, Squarespace Blueprint. Choose from professionally curated layout and styling options to build a unique online presence from the ground up, tailored to your brand or business, and optimized for every single device. That's huge, by the way. A lot of people ask about that. Is it desktop friendly? Is it mobile friendly? Squarespace makes it so simple for your fans to connect. They also have flexible payment options, checkout seamless for customers, whether you're selling something, with powerful payment tools. They accept credit cards and PayPal and Apple Pay. And in some eligible countries, customers have the option to buy now and pay later with Afterpay and ClearPay, which a lot of people love depending on what you're selling or what you're pushing out to the world. And I love the analytics. I've talked about this on here. Measure your end-to-end online performance with powerful website and seller analytics. Get insights and know where your top traffic hits are coming from and understand how to reach your audiences better, which I love because then I can know where you guys are so I can come see you and you can come see me live. All of that is done so simply and seamlessly by using Squarespace. You got to give it a try. If you're building a site and you really want to elevate it to the next level, try it out. Head over to squarespace.com/whiskey to save 10% off your first purchase of a website or domain using code whiskey, my friends. All right, squarespace.com/whiskey. That code's going to be whiskey. It's going to save you 10% off your first purchase of a website or domain. This episode of Whiskey Junior is brought to you by BetterHelp. I've talked so much about BetterHelp on this show. I believe in therapy. I do think it's incredible. I think it does wonderful things for a lot of people for a lot of different reasons. Oftentimes, we don't realize how deep we are in the year. We're halfway through 2024, and a lot of people have reached a lot of their goals. Some people haven't reached any of their goals, and life is flying by quite quickly. And as we make adjustments for the second half of the year, maybe it's time to talk to someone about it. Help you slow down a little bit, help you level stuff out, and ease into stuff. And by doing that, I do think you create a better universe for yourself and those around you. And that's why I love it. I like BetterHelp for the same reason that I like anything that's online. I don't have to leave my house. I do like that. I get food delivered, and why not give therapy a try through the internet? If you're thinking about giving therapy a try, why not give BetterHelp a try? It's entirely done on the internet. It's all done online. It's designed to be convenient, flexible, and suited to your schedule. Fill out a brief questionnaire. There's no wrong answers, trust me. Get matched with a licensed therapist and switch therapists at any time for no additional charge. It is simple. Do something for yourself this year, okay? Take a moment. Visit betterhelp.com/whiskey. That's BetterHelp, betterhelp.com/whiskey today to get 10% off your first month. betterhelp.com/whiskey today to get 10% off your first month. Hey, folks, today's episode of Whiskey Junior is brought to you by Rabbit Hole Distillery, straight out of Louisville, Kentucky. These guys are seriously redefining what bourbon can be. I don't know what you say. I say Louisville, but some people say Louisville, depending on where you're from. But I got to tell you, they make some good sauce down there in Kentucky. Their motto, no shortcuts, no compromise, nothing left to chance. They're like the helicopter parents of bourbon, obsessing over every single little detail, and that they've done. It's paying off because their bourbon and rye whiskeys are snagging awards left and right. What sets them apart, bourbon is aged in charred barrels. That's what everybody says, right? Well, Rabbit Hole goes one step better. They char and toast their barrels because it makes it taste better. That's why. If you're curious, it makes it taste better. It's not just aging, it's flavor boosting on steroids, pulling out those deep, bold flavors that turn each sip into a velvety hug for your taste buds, huh? Give your tongue a little blanket of whiskey, all right? Looking for the perfect Father's Day gift? Don't just grab any old bottle. Grab a bottle of Rabbit Hole, whether your dad's a whiskey nerd or just getting started out. This might be the gift that finally makes him say, hey, I'm proud of you, kiddo. What are you waiting for? Head over to rabbitholedistillery.com/buy now. Rabbitholedistillery.com/buy now. Use the magic promo code RABBIT to get $5 off your first order. Show Dad you got great taste. Dive into Rabbit Hole this Father's Day and gift something extraordinary. Please drink responsibly. I'm getting older. You are too. No one's getting younger. That's how the world works, okay? But as we get older, it's nice to have family and friends around us. And also it's nice to know you got a little comfort blanket around you with life insurance. If you don't have life insurance, you probably should. You can get affordable life insurance online within minutes with Ethos with no medical exams. None. Just answer a few health questions for a quote and apply for coverage at ethoslife.com/whiskey. Let me tell you something. I just got life insurance. I'm 40. and it's creeping up. And I want some protection for my family as we get older, because who knows what's going on. And with Ethos, makes it so simple. Get same-day coverage in 3 easy steps. Quick, easy, and all online. Answer a few health questions, 100% online. No medical exam required, which is rare, by the way. A lot of them do now, so this is great. See your rate in minutes. Term life policies start as low as $10 a month. $10 a month. Start your policy instantly, right away. All right, they've changed the way that finding life insurance was traditionally offered. They offer customizable coverage to fit your needs and budget. Get everything done online. No complicated forms, doctor appointments, or waiting for results. Answer some health questions online and get covered instantly. Term life insurance on your terms. Okay? Personalize your coverage to your family's needs, helping your kids through college, your spouse with a mortgage, your family with income replacement, and much, much more. Affordable options from 10 to 30 years of coverage. I've got it myself, and because I needed it. And I think we all kind of need it. It's a little bit blanket of protection for those that you love very much as we move on through life. Be the parent you want to be. Get up to $2 million in term life insurance coverage in 10 minutes with Ethos. Answer a few health questions and get your free quote at ethoslife.com/whiskey. That's Ethos, ETHOS life.com/whiskey.
Ginger. I like gingers.
No, but I've said on the phone to a friend last night, your brother came up because of something, which I'm sick of talking about him. But yeah, I think I met your brother 5 years ago or whatever, and he's the same guy to me he was then that he is now.
There's no question.
Which I think that's the only version of that is good, where it's like, yeah, it's easy to change when you get in these wild situations, and some people do and some people don't. And I don't blame people that do either. Some people do change because they have to, because life is so different that you're like, privacy becomes a key and priority, but he's been the same. And I'm sure with you guys, it's at least what it seems like is things are the same.
Yeah, I don't think that anybody is changed really. I mean,
that's good.
I mean, you're listen. We're always getting older and wiser and evolving our opinions and whatnot. But
you are.
Yeah,
I don't know if he is. I think he's kind of staying the same age.
He is kind of.
He's
similar.
like a forever.
No, he's getting there.
No, he is.
But I do agree. I think Trav is. He's a very comfortable person in like almost any scenario. Like he's such a unique individual. I've never seen him uncomfortable anywhere. So it's like
he moves pretty seamlessly.
Yeah, and he's I haven't seen him change one bit.
That's
really.
good.
Yeah.
I
think it's a compliment. I think that he stayed true to himself.
Yeah.
He's still humble. He treats everyone with the utmost respect, like they're equals regardless of who they are.
Right.
I mean,
when you told the story about when he got in trouble in college and you like went out of your way, has he ever done anything like that for you in either in the more latter years? Maybe has he like flipped on something where you're like, wow, Trav really helped me get out of something that I
love that you're asking me this question.
Well, because the brother of it all, right? My brain always goes to like, as we get older, right? Like my sister and I have gotten significantly closer as we've gotten older. When we were young, I hated her. I loved her, but I hated her. And we always battled. And then we got older and we both realized that we're so much more in common than we ever thought. And she's been such a great thing in my life. And as we've gotten older, it's become more and more apparent as we've grown through trouble and problems and family stuff. And you know what I mean?
Yep.
And I see that with you guys. And I'm always like, what has that flipped back to you?
See, Travis remembers that college situation differently than I do. I don't feel like it was as, and I think he was the one going through it, so it sticks with him more. Like there was something.
Sure.
I think he overstates, I think, what I did more than what I feel like I did. I'm trying to remember, like, Trav, I would say that the biggest thing that just stands out is I asked Travis's opinion on a lot of things because Travis, and I really mean this, has probably like some of the best instincts just in general of anybody I've ever talked to. And 9 times out of 10, I'll come at something and I'm trying to think it out and I'm going somewhere with it. And he just says something so point blank. And I'm like, yeah, that's all it fucking comes down to. Right? It's like, and he has the ability to just think of things and like cut away all the, bullshit outside of what you're trying to figure out. It's just right here, man. And he's helped me make a lot of big decisions in my life that way. And I think...
Was retirement one of them?
retirement, he hasn't ever pushed me in. I think that he's fully known when like he knew I was going to retire this year. That was the first time that he felt like I was going to retire, I think. And I think part of it, just like your sister, like we think about things differently, but we think about things the same. So we know how each other think. So it's very easy for us to talk about something and have this back and forth dialogue. But at the same time, he just has like this ability to think about things from a different perspective that I'm not usually focused on. And it ends up steering me in the right direction almost every single time.
That's so nice.
Yeah.
The vision is so different. When you know what I mean? Like you both are, it's just so funny to be so successful and so unique in the ways that you guys are successful, which is, that's what's so interesting.
And
Same sport, but not, you know what I mean?
No, absolutely. And I think that the way we think actually helps for our specific sports. Like I've always thought, like center, it helps to be like an analytically type thinking person, right?
Yeah.
Like it's like, listen, we have 3 guys over here, or we have too many guys over here, so we need to point the protection this way, or we need to call this in a run game to account for that. Right. Like it's like a math problem almost that you're solving. Like that's you're taking in space and numbers and leverage, and you're computing that to try and put the team in the best situation from a blocking schematic standpoint. Right. Travis, he thinks about things, it's still analytical, but he thinks about it more, in my opinion, from like an artist standpoint. Like he's like creating and like he's doing things that like this hasn't been talked about before. He just knows to do this based on what's happening. Yeah. And my dad still, like, even when we were kids, he would tell this story all the time, how he thought Travis was smarter than me. Probably still does. And he's probably right. We both got the same Lego set when we were kids. And I opened the box and I opened the instructions and I put the thing together piece by piece, following the instructions. And by the time I got done, Travis's was already done. And he just looked at the box and put the thing together, right?
He didn't do any of the instructions.
Yeah, he didn't look at any of the instructions. He just put it together, right? So, you know, it's that right brain, left brain. I don't know if that's a real thing, but he's much more of the creative minded, like instincts. Like that's how he's lived his life, his whole life. And he's hounded that to perfection. Oh, yeah. And I think receivers and tight ends, people that carry the ball, it benefits them to think along those lines. Yeah. Like even soccer players. Like I think if you think about the game more like that, you're going to be less predictable and it pans out a lot of times. If you're trying to be too analytical, it'll slow you down and you're going to get too bogged up. Right. Football is a unique sport where there's still positions where I think analytical, like evaluative, like thinking helps between like center, quarterback, you know, baseball, like pitcher, catcher. Like there's certain sports where it benefits you, but for the most part, like if you're thinking too much in sports, like you're screwing up.
Bad news.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Like golf is probably one that like.
Well, they say that, I don't remember who said this, but they said to be a great golfer, you need to be a complete and utter moron or a genius.
It's like
you need to be so stupid and just deaf to fear, or you are so overt that it's like, you know, almost a sickness. And I guess the example would be like Bryson DeChambeau.
Completely.
He's so analytical. I mean, he's just, he like down to like it's stuff that you couldn't even imagine.
Yeah, it's almost like too much. Like, it's like you're like trying to make you're like a robot. Right
he's got that like very like, and do you know that the ball flight on this is 4/10 slower than, and you're like, holy shit. And then there's guys, I'm not going to name because I'm not going to take shots at anybody, but there's guys that are not, they're more, you know, just going with the flow. Yeah. And I think their brain doesn't get in the way. They're like, yeah, just playing some great golf.
Just gonna play.
Yeah, just doing some just technical golf. Just like, yeah, I guess I know this. I know how this feels, and so I'm gonna do that way every time.
Just gonna hit it like this.
That's the problem with me is I'm not that dumb, but I'm not smart. So I'm not smart, I'm not done. I'm right in the middle. That's why I'm an okay golfer. So I'm not great, I'm not terrible.
I just got fitted for clubs for the first time in over a decade. I've had the same clubs for over a decade. And it's the first time I've ever hit on a TrackMan. And I was like, what the fuck is this?
Yeah. For people that don't know, TrackMan does all your statistics of your swing and it gives you everything.
I'm getting fitted by these TaylorMade guys and they're like, okay, the launch angle's this. We're going to take the club, move it here. I'm like, is this real? Like,
Yeah.
this is all that goes into it? I thought, because the last time I got fitted, they had like tape on the ground. And you would like hit the tape and they're like, yeah, we're going to change it here. And then I come into this and I'm like, how the fuck is this machine doing this?
Yeah. You
There's
just had a
so
new
many
guy.
numbers. And I'm like, what does all this mean?
I like that you just had like the brand new guy that's like, throw tape on the ground. I guess. Like, yeah. Hit the tape, sir. Someone else is like, what the fuck was with the tape? He's like, don't worry about it. I don't know. I'm trying something new.
Yeah.
Yeah. TaylorMade, did you go down to the Kingdom down here, or did you go?
I got a buddy that was working for TaylorMade where I was going to get fitted out here. Last time I was in LA.
The Kingdom is the best.
I didn't make it.
You got to go.
Yeah.
If you ever get a chance, it's down in San Diego. We're talking about TaylorMade has this fitting facility, I should say, is what it's called, and it's about I don't even know. There's maybe like 6 or 7 bays, and they blessed me. I was able to go down there and do that and go get fitted. And shout out to TaylorMade. It is incredible. I play the P7MCs.
P7MCs?
Yeah.
Okay.
770, 7090s are like the more standard one. The 7MCs are just like one above
that.
Tiger Blades. The Tiger Blade is like the hardest club to hit for sure.
The TW or whatever.
Yeah, and I was like,
I want to hit that so bad, but there's no chance.
What are we talking about? Why? Why do I need that pain? No, and then it's the next level. That's they feel a little bladey. They're not as cavity backed, but they are a little bit. They're beautiful. But when I got fitted, he was, it is funny because I'm never nervous playing golf, but I was nervous there because, there's a professional fitting you, and I was like, God, if I make a bad swing, he's going to be like, all right, let's try it. And it was a little nerve wracking at the beginning. Then when I calmed down, we finally got it right. But it is incredible how much tech that goes into dialing you in.
It was crazy how just changing like the
lie.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Like I was hitting like everything, like not dead center. They fixed that.
Oh yeah.
Everything.
I know.
Like puring it. I'm like, how the hell it doesn't work like this?
And also it feels very placebo effect because you're like, is this going to be the same when I leave?
Exactly.
Or is this going to be, am I going to get out there?
It's not going to be the same.
No, of course not. That's how everything is. That you're like, well, back there I was doing the
just
thing.
murdering it. Yeah.
So are you
little baby draws all day?
Yeah, just little butter draw over the top. Are you playing a bunch now?
I've played more up to this point than I've ever played.
Yeah.
And I'm doing that Tahoe event for the first time.
You are.
So
you got
trying
in.
not
That's
to
awesome.
Embarrass myself.
No, you're going to be great. Put in a call for me, will you? I'm trying to get into that thing.
Are you?
I keep saying I want to get in it so bad.
Oh my gosh, we got to get you in.
Michael
dude.
Pena has said multiple times, he's like, I got to get you into that thing. I was like, I know. Let me
Yeah.
get in there. I want to get in there.
I can't believe
I'm
that.
not famous enough. You got to be a little bit above me. And then give me a little bit more time. I'll be there. I've taken your brother golfing a few times, and it is always funny to watch.
So what do you think of? I actually haven't been golfing with Trav in a long time.
He's good. He's good. He hits it way too far.
Yeah.
Comically far. And a lot of times it goes in the wrong direction,
Yeah.
but he is good.
Sounds like me and my brother.
Too far in the wrong direction, but it's good.
When it goes straight, it's like unbelievable.
It's unbelievable. Yeah.
But
we had a guy one time.
percentages are low.
Yeah. We had a guy one time that made me laugh so hard. It's like it's a rule kind of that you like don't bother celebrities and you leave people alone and you don't, it's just kind of like don't take pictures and just everyone gets to play golf and leave everybody alone. And this older gentleman, and you know your brother, he's like the sweetest guy on earth.
Yeah.
And this older man, he comes walking up and he's like, I don't ever do this. It's like, that phrase.
Yeah.
Yeah. And then he goes, but Mr. Kelce, I am such a fan. May I have a photo? And I kind of gave him a look like, come on, man. Like you leave.
You know the rules.
Yeah, you know that you're not supposed to do that.
Yeah.
But he was an older guy, so whatever.
Let it happen.
And then Travis goes, "Of course, bro," and doesn't even think twice because your brother doesn't think twice.
Yep.
And he goes to get out of the golf cart, and the guy takes a photo with his phone of just Travis in the golf cart. He doesn't want a photo with him. He just picks up his phone and goes like that, and he goes, "Thank you, Mr. Kelce."
So just that.
And Travis and I drove away. We were dying laughing.
Yeah.
He goes, I thought he wanted a photo. I go, that would have made sense.
Yeah.
Yeah, that would have made the most sense.
Yeah.
He just took a photo. Has anybody just taken a photo of just you before?
Yes. And usually it is an older person.
Yeah, right. They just take a picture and they go,
it's just
thank you.
boop, see you later.
Which I respect because I thought, I know my dad. He's not that old. My dad's going to hear this and be like, I'm not that old. But I know my dad. He
doesn't want a photo of himself.
He's like, I don't want to be in that photo. It's going to look stupid if I'm in it. He'll be like, let me get it near you, or I'm taking it of you. I get the old man mentality of like, I don't want to look at myself in a photo. When was the first time? Because we said we'd get to whiskey. When was the first time you got drunk? Do you remember the first time you got drunk when you were a young lad, a trouble boy?
High school.
We talking freshman year?
Sophomore.
Sophomore year.
Sophomore year.
What is that, 15, 16, right around then?
I think I was 15. I might have been 16.
Yeah.
It was right in between. So I was 15 at the start of the year. November 5th, I would have been 16.
16, yeah.
So I don't remember what part of the year it was in.
Right.
But I remember there was a house party that one of the guys was throwing. And the first beer I ever had was a Milwaukee's Best.
Oh,
And I was like, what in the fuck is this? Like, I am this.
Yeah.
People drink this
Yeah.
fucking shit.
why?
And
Does it make me fly?
yeah. And I was like, I'm out on this.
Yeah.
And then somebody handed me a Natty Light, and I was like, oh,
Yeah.
I get this.
There it is, baby. Dude, I wish
I get it about 100.
I wish
of
I had a
these.
photo to show you in my phone because I would show you when we were in college. That was Natty was $8.99 a case in Arizona. You could buy a case for $9, and we had so many of those that my roommate at the time, Mark, he was like, we had a bunch of holes in the wall from parties, and he was like, "Oh man, if the landlord comes by," and then Evan and Mark got this brilliant idea. They were like, "We have so many cases in the garage. What if we cut up the Natty and put the cases on the wall as wallpaper?" We had wallpaper of Natty Ice, Natty Light cases lining our living room.
Love it.
Right, and then people come over and be like, "This is sick," and I'm like, "Well, wait till you see the holes behind it. It's going to cost us a bunch of money
There's
in
a
our
reason
security
that's up
deposit."
there.
Yeah. So that was the first time you got lit up at the house party.
Yeah, and this is a little bit somber, but there was a big drunk driving accident right before I got into high school.
Yeah.
And 3 of like the local hockey players that were like heroes in our community ended up dying in it. And the biggest thing that my parents wanted to avoid was drinking and driving. So their big rule was like, listen, we know you're in high school. We know you're going to have a couple every once in a while. We do not want you getting in a car with being under the influence or with somebody else being. Like,
Sure.
we will come pick you up. Like, nobody's gonna be drinking at our house, but like if you're out doing whatever, we just curfew, and then you don't drink and drive. Those are the 2 things we care
Then you're
about.
good.
Yeah. So
And you probably broke curfew though, for sure.
a couple times.
Yeah.
I'd be like, "Where are you at?" I'm like, "I'm just around the corner.
The other side of town.
Yeah,
I'm already here.
we're getting there.
I'm right outside the front door right now. You know that.
Yeah.
Yeah, no, that was the first time that's the same guy, Matt, that we used to get autographs with. Matt and I got drunk. We stole his father's a bottle of it was scotch, I think it was.
Yeah.
And just vomit everywhere.
Yeah.
Because we had no idea how to drink it.
Yeah, you don't know how.
I still don't know how to drink scotch, to be honest.
It. Yeah, right. Yeah.
I don't know. I'm
Still
not a
haven't
big
figured it out,
scotch guy.
apparently.
No. Bourbon, yes. Scotch, not my. What's your go-to liquor?
Go-to liquor, probably whiskey.
Whiskey is it?
I would say whiskey, but I'm not whiskey predominantly, especially if I'm drinking it out of a glass.
Yeah.
Just straight whiskey.
Right.
Or bourbon or
Yeah.
the whole genre.
For sure.
But I'll drink tequila, I'll drink vodka, all that stuff. Like,
What's the no-go? What's the no-fly zone? What do you absolutely not drink?
I don't know that there is like a no-fly
Really?
zone. Yeah, I'll drink.
See, mine is spiced rum.
Spiced rum.
Captain Morgan and I had a breakup years ago, and I'll never go back. The smell of it,
I was like that with tequila for a while.
the smell of it.
Yeah.
Sometimes my dad likes rum and cokes. Like in his summertime drink, he'll drink rum and coke. All the other times, the winter, he likes martinis.
Yeah.
But rum and coke if he's sitting by my
I
pool.
do love a good rum and coke.
Oh man, he loves it. And the
Yeah.
smell when he cracks the bottle, I'm always like, can't do it, man.
I was like that in college with tequila for about
It got
4
ya.
years.
Yeah.
And I eventually like got it back. But Jose Cuervo drank a whole bottle of that too quickly one night. And
Yeah. It teaches you bad.
yeah, and just the smell of it would just ruin my night.
Yeah, that got me. That was for a long enough time where now it's okay, but I don't want to be near it enough where it's got the remnants in the back of my mind.
Yeah. Hey.
The danger of going back to that time, the flashback.
So I do want to ask you a question
Yeah.
about whiskey. So I know you're a whiskey aficionado.
Bourbon specific. I'm not as smart as many of my fans are smarter than
So you
I.
said rye. Rye is like typical Irish whiskey, right?
Well, so no rye. So rye, which I'm not a huge rye guy. I know I like it just fine.
Sure.
A lot of people criticize that. It's like, well, rye should be a kind of a part of your palate if you do like bourbon.
If you're into it, you should be.
Yeah,
okay.
it's just a different chemical makeup, just a little bit different of a blend, right? But I like bourbon. I maybe it's the corn in me. Maybe it's like the Midwest kid.
Yeah,
I don't know
right.
what it is. But like with Irish whiskey, which I don't particularly
big
love.
Irish
I know, and
whiskey.
I know. The internet's
Calm down.
The internet starts to shoot at you sometimes when people are like, What are you talking about? And you're like, I don't know, man. I like what I like. Leave me alone.
Yeah.
I like American.
You got red hair though. How could you not?
I like American Kentucky bourbon. I really like bourbon
that's
from
your style.
Kentucky. I've always been something about it always hit me in the right way. Like Scotch, I've tried a million different kinds of Scotch and I like it just fine. It's for you. And like you said before the show when you asked about ice or not, rocks or not.
Yeah.
I've said this a million times. The master distiller at Buffalo Trace, I asked him. I said, "Hey, can you clear up this controversy?"
Yeah.
And he says, "How do you like it?" I said, "I kind of like it neat." And he's like, "Great, then that's how you drink it." I said, "I know, but what's like the right way?" He's like, "That's not a real thing. There is no right way.
Sure.
How you like it is how it's. There is no like you're supposed to drink it with it. That's not true."
Right.
So I love that, and every time I take that to people, there are some people that have kind of snobbish thought about it, but the way I used to love it was my grandmother and my grandfather. They always drank Canadian whiskey, which tough.
That's like a whole nother thing. Right?
Real tough. Yeah. They drank Canadian whiskey, Manhattans, and my grandmother always would say, she'd go, a couple cubes of ice is all the water I need for the day. Like that's the water. It's going to water it down, and I'll have like a little bit softer of an evening. Good. And I thought, well, that's probably the smartest way. If you want to slow down the hits, put a little bit of water in there. Just a little touch of it. But
there is like some video I watched on YouTube one time where it's like a guy drinking scotch.
Yeah.
And he said that like the correct way to drink it is to have like a small amount of like cold water in it.
Oh, really? Just a little. Well, I know this.
Because it like makes it more palatable and you get more notes in it.
Sure.
And I was like, all right, cool.
But I feel the same way. Once I've learned that there is no real rules, it's the same way I felt anxious about wine. Like, I don't know if your wife likes wine, but every time we go out and she gets wine, I feel dumb.
Yeah.
Because someone's like, how do you like that one? I'm like,
Tastes like the one I just had.
Yeah, dude, I have no idea.
Tastes like the other red one I just had.
Yeah, no clue. And by the fourth one, I'm like, this is delicious.
Yeah.
This is absolutely
Where is this
delicious.
from? What region?
Yeah. Like I know. I like when I walked into a liquor
these grapes
store.
got way more tartness to them.
Yeah, is it notes of pine? They're like, no. What do you? Of course, it's not pine. I'm so dumb when I go to buy wine. I'm so bad. I go right up to the front desk and I just go, tell me something that's within this price range.
Yeah.
That's all I need. I don't know anything about it.
Well, there are so many good wines though that are like very affordable, right?
Yeah. Well, I mean, everything that she gets at the house, I'm always like, this is great.
This is fantastic.
Yeah, she knows how to pick it. I think it's like with bourbon, I think it's easier to know.
There's a much bigger difference.
Right.
Right?
Right. Shitty bourbon, pretty quick.
Right away. Okay.
And I'm not throwing anybody under the bus, but typically when you go to just like a regular bar and they have their front shelf or bottom shelf or whatever you want to see. Yeah, they're the difference of non-aged bourbon, non-aged whiskey, it tastes pretty, I hate to say flat, but it kind of tastes quick.
Yeah.
It tastes like it's just in and out. There is not like a long depth of flavor.
It's like ethanol heavy. It's like all you're getting is the alcohol.
This is gas. You're getting that gas. Put that gas
Which,
in.
hey, if that's what you need, you need, right?
Yeah, like when I was a kid, once my dad is from
If you're
North
gonna throw in
Carolina.
a bunch of Coca-Cola, it's
If you're gonna drown it, yeah. One time I had moonshine. Have you ever had?
Oh, yeah.
Real moonshine from like
West Virginia.
Yeah, from like Toothless Ruthless.
Yeah.
And honestly, it is unbelievable that people can consume it. I'm shocked people can drink it.
Yeah.
And also, after like this much, just like of like 2 fingers of it, I was like, holy God. I don't know. I was ripped. I was like, how do you drink this all day? And those dudes can drink that and go to work.
Yeah.
Just be like, well,
Love it. It's rubbing alcohol, essentially, right? Yeah, it's
clean your arms with it and then take a shot of it. Yeah, it's insane.
Yeah, I was just at Old Smoky Distillery, which is a moonshine company down in Tennessee. I was just there.
Oh, nice.
Doing a thing with them. And I didn't know this, but apparently moonshine, you make it the same way you make whiskey. You just don't age it like it
doesn't age. Yeah.
That's the only difference.
Yeah.
And that you don't pay taxes on it. And it's illegal, but
that part's good.
Yeah, right.
Yeah. That's the part I like the most. Right. That's why it's usually clear. There's no color. There's no colorization because all whiskeys are clear until you've thrown it in a barrel that's been charred and toasted.
Yes.
But yeah, when you get that though, the alcohol content is so high, right? It's barely been touched. You're really drinking it right from the source. And there's people that can handle it that really like it, and it's violent to me.
We have so I did not experience this, but we have cousins in West Virginia. My dad, growing up, would go there onto the farm. They have a farm out there, and he's playing pickup basketball one time. And this, like, there's no running water, right? This is like true well water,
right?
Like outhouse in the back.
Oh yeah,
right. And if you want water, you got to go to the fridge. You got to get it out of the jar that's in the fridge, or you got to go to the well.
Fill up that jar. You better replenish that jar.
Yeah.
You better replace that jar, kid.
So so he's going there after he's playing basketball. He runs into the house to get some what he thinks he's getting water out of the fridge.
Oh shit.
Grabs the wrong jar of clear liquid, and that was his first encounter with it. Like taking a big old swig of moonshine without asking questions.
Your dad goes permanently cross-eyed.
Like, what?
Yeah. Wait, he's from West Virginia, your old man?
No, we have like relatives from like Western PA, West Virginia that we've kind of lost touch with, to be honest with you. We had some cousins in West Virginia that we went to a couple times at farm, and it was just awesome. Like I would never forget driving there in the middle of the night, and it was the blackest of black that I had ever seen.
Yeah.
I'm like, there's like no street lights, no nothing. And I'm like, where the fuck are we going? Like all you see are two headlight beams, and you're driving into the abyss.
I love that.
And we get there, and that was my first like time ever experiencing anything like that. And it was awesome. We took us on, it was like winter, either that time or the second time. And I still remember that they had like an old tire tied with a rope to a four-wheeler, and they would just take us around. We would be sitting on the tire, and they'd just be whipping us around the field.
Oh, that's awesome.
Yeah, so it was fun. It was unlike anything I had ever been to. They had a bunch of animals and dogs and everything. So it was just like, where the hell are we at right now?
You need that, by the way, those winter experiences. That's the one thing that if I ever have kids, I need to put them in a place that does still get winter, because the days where like we would go, anybody we knew that had a car that was only rear wheel drive, which so many cars back in the day were.
Yeah.
And we'd load up and just do donuts. Spin that thing out. And if you hit something, you hit something. You've never hit a car, but you hit a curb a couple times, maybe a pole.
We're fine.
We weren't going that fast. But those days were so much fun. It's like those winter days of causing trouble in the snow.
Yeah.
So imperative, man, to your growth.
Yeah.
The tire, I mean, come on.
Yeah.
By the way, so dangerous, so great.
There is something in Travis. We were just debating seasons on the last episode, and he put winter really high up there. I'm like, are you fucking crazy? Like, winter in the city sucks.
Yeah.
Like, it's an inconvenience.
Yeah, it is.
But to your credit, like, football, when snow comes down, it's like you're a kid again.
Yeah.
And I feel like snow just in general, no matter where it's at, like, if it comes down, like, shit just, like, changes.
Your attitude, something, shifts.
Like, even
There's
in
a shift.
Philly, you'll see people, like, if it's bad enough, you'll see people like on skis going down Broad Street. Like the whole city is shut down because it's too much. And it's just like turns into this like equalizer of like, hey, we're going to negate whatever anybody had planned for the rest of the day. And we're all just going to be big kids.
Yeah.
And there's something beautiful
I think there's
in that.
something about that that's important.
I agree. Yeah.
Well, because that, like, look, I've been living out here. I've been living in sunshine for a long time, and it's great. But the thing that bad weather does is it bonds you to your peers.
Yeah.
Inherently.
We're all going through
this
this
kid's
together.
from Minnesota. He knows. It's like you live in the shit together, and so it helps your community kind of come together.
And it's the same way in football or anything. Like when you go through adversity with other people, it just brings you closer.
Yeah, you're going to be closer.
Yeah.
Right. That's
Do you
why
remember
out here,
when we had to deal with that? Like I climbed Mount Kilimanjaro with Chris Long. It was terrible. Like especially the last night, I was like, "Why are we doing this? Like you're like this."
Was it just you two, you and Chris?
No. Sorry. So he has a whole foundation, Water Boys.
Okay.
And they do. Well, they used to. I think they're still doing it, but they would climb Kilimanjaro every year with a bunch of wounded warriors and a bunch of NFL guys, and you'd make the trip up there.
Guys would climb Kilimanjaro with like missing limbs.
Yeah.
That's
I climbed it
insane.
with a guy with a missing leg.
And he probably beat you.
He did.
Yeah.
I got visibly so the last day you're there is like the big one, because then once you're above, I think it's 18,000, your body's officially like no longer replenishing the oxygen unless you have like a oxygen deal. Like you're losing oxygen slowly. So you're slowly essentially dying.
Yeah, you're dying.
So the trick is like, once you get above that, you want to go as fast as possible. Get to the summit, take your picture, do your stuff, and get down.
Get
right?
out, yeah.
And, we're moving slow, and the big guys consume more oxygen. So like all the big guys, like we're gassed. And these dudes that don't play sports, but they were in the military for years, they're just crushing
Right to the
us.
top.
Yeah. Guys without legs. I'm like, God damn.
Come on, you guys! Yeah. That guy's in a wheelchair and he's on top of Kilimanjaro. I can't get all the way up. That's something I never. I can't. I don't know how people do that.
You could do it.
Well, here's the when we used to go. We had family that lived. They lived in Breckenridge, and their house was almost at 11,000 feet.
Oh,
we would
that's high.
sleep at 11,000.
That's really high for. Yeah.
So high. So those first couple of days, even that's like I'd have crazy nightmares or bad dreams or bad sleep.
Sure.
We go skiing the next morning, and I would be. I'd be like,
Yeah,
dude,
man.
I am a sea level guy.
Yeah,
like,
right.
this is bad. So 18,000 to me seems like, I mean, I could do it. I just feel like I would need to train for it.
Yeah.
Did you train or no?
I did zero training.
Ah, what?
They said to like, especially training your boots because you don't want to like get blisters or whatnot. Because when you get blisters, you're done.
It's over. Yeah.
But no, I didn't.
You didn't train, and
Didn't
you got the
train.
fun. Yeah, this is like you're like one. Well, you're a
I
pro
will say,
athlete.
Well, I'm a pro athlete, but we also it was a very like, white collar climb. Like we had people helping us.
They carried you. Yeah.
Yeah, like there was a lot of assistance here. Like I was carrying my bag, and then there were two guys that were like locals, and they're hauling gallons of water up to the next stop,
Right.
chiefing cigarettes on the side. I'm like, yeah, this is.
Right, when you see the Sherpas that are like smoking a butt, they're like, "Come on, let's go!
Come on,
Hurry
guys, you're
up."
taking forever.
What's the name of the foundation, just so I know again?
Water Boys.
Water Boys.
Yeah.
Go check out Chris Long's Water Boys. I want to thank you. I could talk to you for hours, but I know you got to get on. I appreciate you so very much.
Yeah.
Everyone is already aware of it, but go watch New Heights. Incredible. Can't wait to see you on Mondays. We end the episode the same way. Look in that camera right there. And you say one word or one phrase that's going to cement the episode. We used to be a phrase, then it was a word. Some people like, like a little something, or some people like one solid word. So whenever you're ready in that camera.
So what time on? Is it one word or one phrase?
You
Now
can
I'm
pick.
confused.
You can pick. It used to
Can I
kind
get like an example?
yeah, some people say like keep on keeping on. Some people have a little coined phrase. Some people say stuff like tequila. Could be one word like that. Just something that you think would end the episode properly from your perspective.
In this episode, oh my
Yeah.
gosh.
Something in your heart and soul. It can be very meaningful. It can be stupid. It doesn't really matter.
I'm gonna steal